top of your paper, all of you, please write, because this is what you're going to take a picture of. You're going to write page 393, and then 2 through 40 even, and bless you, number 35. So I will do about 6 or 7 of these with you just to remind you how to do them. And then off you go, you're going to finish the rest by yourself. Okay, so you'll probably have like 12 questions to do by yourself. Okay, so the first one I'm going to do with you is I'm going to do number 4. Okay, I'm not even going to have that problem in front of me like the paper, because we can just recopy it on this paper. Okay, so for number 4, here's my question. It is y to the third minus 9y squared plus y minus 9. So either you can follow along with me or you can work by yourself, depends how good you are at factoring, but I'm going to do some with you, okay? And the directions just say factor the polynomial by grouping. So do you see how you have 1, 2, 3, 4 terms? So 4 terms, remember, just means you have to group. So let's do that. Remember how we grouped? You have the first 2, and then you have the second 2, and we're just going to group it like that. Okay. So let's take a look at the first group. So when we're doing this, please be neat and organized with your work, right? Write the problem down, write the problem number down as well, so I know which problem it goes with. Don't just write your work everywhere, okay? All right, the green, what can I take out? Y2, y squared, right? Because there's 3 of them here, 2 of them here, so I can take out a y squared. Someone other than Ryan, in person, what's left over? Y minus 9. Okay. Somebody online, is there anything that I can take out here?
1.
1, yeah, there's nothing to take out, right? I can't take out a y, I can't take out a number, so if I can't take out a number, I always put a 1. So somebody online, what's left over?
Y minus 9.
Thank you, because nothing changed. Okay, so I know I did this right, because remember, the things in the parentheses are exactly the same. So somebody in person, how do I write my factored form of this? Cameron?
Y squared plus 1 and then y plus that 9.
Good. Okay. So before you box it in and say that that's your final answer, when it says factor completely, maybe that means that you can go even farther. So do you see how now, after you factored this, you have 2 terms and 2 terms? And you wrote down earlier that if you have 2 terms, maybe you can do the tree thing. And you can do the tree thing if there's a minus, and then you can break it down. So I have 2 terms and 2 terms. Can I do the tree thing for this thing? No, because there's a plus symbol. Can I do the tree thing for this one? No. Like I can with the 9, like 3 and 3, but why? If there's only one of them, then it's not like y times y, right? Because there's only one of them. So looks like I can't break it down anymore. So this actually is my answer. So if I'm asking you to do numbers 2 through 40 even, but I didn't even do number 2, just put number 2 somewhere else on your paper. Okay, you don't have to write your problems in order. It's not a big deal. When I look at your submission, I'll just make sure that you have all the problems somewhere. So label them. Okay, this was number 4. The next one we're going to do is number 6. All right, so for number 6, I have 2s to the third minus 27 minus 18s plus 3s squared. So again, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 terms. So 4 terms means factor by grouping. So I have my first group, I have my second group. Okay, so somebody in person, can I take out anything? No, I can't, right? So if I can't take out anything, what do I take out? A 1. So I would have 2s to the third minus 27. Okay, second group. In person, what can I take out?
Negative 3s.
Negative, thank you for saying negative, 3s. I'm taking out a negative 3s. Left over, what do I have?
6s minus 3s. No, 6 minus 3s.
6 minus 3s. Uh-oh. And do you see how the things in parentheses are not the same? Okay, so you've never run into this before, really. So let me tell you what's going to happen. So if the things in parentheses are not the same, it doesn't mean, oh, you can't factor it. It's unfactorable. Let's move to the next one and let's just write unfactorable. Not the case, okay? The reason why it's not the case is because if you look at the question they give me, you don't need to write this down. But what if I wrote let me break it down to elementary school. What if I said 2 plus 3 plus 5? Isn't that the same thing if I didn't like this order to rearrange it and write 5 plus 2 plus 3? Do you see how I rearranged the order and I would still get the same answer? So just because I can't find a common GCF here doesn't mean that I don't have an answer. Maybe that just means I need to reorder my problem. So I don't know. Maybe I should I'm just going to take a guess, take this last one because there's an S here and there's an S here, right? Maybe I'll just stick it right here instead and just reorder my problem and see if I can factor it now. Maybe now after I do that, my parentheses will be the same. So I'm going to cross this out because this has nothing to do with it. Let me rewrite my problem. So I have 2s to the third plus 3s squared minus 27 minus 18s. So do you see what I did? I just reordered my problem, and that's okay. I'm just changing the order. I would still technically get the right answer. So if I still can't factor it, then definitely it's unfactorable. But maybe now I can factor it with a new order. So here's my first group. Here's my second group. Okay, somebody online, can you tell us what can I take out here?
S squared.
Thank you. I can take out an S squared. All right. Somebody online, what's left over in here?
2s plus 3.
Thank you. Okay, somebody else online. Let's do the yellows now. What can I take out here?
-9.
Thank you, because you have to say negative too, right? Thank you for saying negative because it starts with a minus, so it's -9. Okay, somebody else online. What's left over?
Three plus 2s.
Okay, now let's see if the parentheses are the same. 2s plus 3, 3 plus 2s. Is that the same? Yeah. Right? I just the symbols, the positives and the negatives are all the same. 2 plus 2s plus 3, 3 plus 2s. So it is the same. So now I can rewrite my answer. So is there a specific one that I should write? Should I write 2s plus 3 or should I write 3 plus 2s or does it just not matter? It doesn't matter because they're the same. So I'm just going to write 2s plus 3 because that's the first one I see. But you could write 3 plus 2s and it would still be the same thing. All right, the second group of parentheses, what do I write? S squared minus 9. Good. Am I done? Should I box it in or can I keep on factoring it? You can keep factoring it because you have two terms and two terms. Remember, if you have two terms, maybe you can do the tree thing. Which one can I do the tree thing with? The second one, right? Because s squared is s times s. 9 is 3 times 3. Okay, so really my answer is 2s plus 3 and then s plus 3, s minus 3. So this is my final answer. So two things, guys. First thing, if you wrote this as your answer and you didn't factor it even more, that would be considered wrong because that would not be factoring completely. Okay, and the second thing is, remember, if you're factoring by grouping and the first group, it doesn't make sense, why don't you try to reorder your problem? And look, it still comes out great. Okay, so that's with the grouping I feel like might be kind of tricky. Let's hop over to number 14. So again, don't worry about leaving spaces on your paper, okay? We will just have our homework in a different order and it's honestly not a big deal because you're labeling each problem, so you're fine. Okay, for the next group, I'm gonna do 14, 16, and 20 with you. It just says factor it completely. That's it, okay? So for number 14, let's factor it completely. Actually, you wanna do number 12 too? I guess let's do number 12 first. I'll do an extra one with you because number 12 doesn't really look like what you've seen so far. So let's do number 12 first. Okay, for number 12, 36a to the 4th minus 4a squared. Oh, only 2 terms. That's okay. Let's look back here. So remember, what do I always start with? See if you can take out a common GCF. See if you can factor out a negative. So, can I do a GCF? Yes. What number?
6a squared.
Close.
2.
Not 2. 4. Right? Because you can't do 2 because you can do bigger than 2. 4 is good. You can't do 6 because 6 doesn't go into 4. So 4a squared. Okay. Somebody online, what do I have left over? Oh, yes, mine. Why don't I do the tree method there? Because I guess I could.
But then we have to always take out GCF before we do anything.
Yeah, you always have to take out a GCF before you do anything else. But I wonder, so I'm gonna, yeah. I mean, I see where you're coming from. Okay, so let me hurry do it with the GCF first, and then I'll quickly do it with the tree method and see if you get the same answer. I feel like you wouldn't. That's why I feel like the rule is you always have to take out a GCF first. Okay, sorry, online kids, what's left over in here?
9a squared minus 1.
Thank you for saying minus 1. It's not just 9a squared and then blank, right? If you have 4a squared, you took out a 4a squared. If there's nothing left over, you still put a 1. Okay, now what do I do? Multiply 9 and negative 1?
Well, magic number.
Don't do magic numbers because you don't have 3 terms.
Tree method.
So the tree thing, right? If you have 2 terms, we wrote down that 2 terms is just the tree thing. And I can do the tree thing because there's a minus, and all of these things can break down. So I have 3a, 1, 1. Okay, does someone in person know what is my final answer? I should have 3 things I should be saying. Ryan?
3 plus 1 plus 3 plus 1.
3a plus 1, 3a minus 1.
Okay.
And then there's one more thing.
4a squared.
Remember the 4a squared? We took it out. So you still take out the 4a squared. And that would be my answer. I can't break it down anymore. Okay, I'm going to really quickly see if you can do the tree method and see if you can still get the same answer. You don't need to write this down. I'm just honestly curious at this point because I can't remember. So a to the 4th is a squared, right? 4 is 2, and then a. So you would have 6a squared plus 2a, and then 6a squared minus 2a, which is not the same thing as what we said here. So,
If you simplify it.
If you did the tree, oh wait, no.
but you can't do any more tree methods, yeah. So I feel like it is just the GCF. You have to take the GCF out first, because if I were to FOIL this, then wouldn't I get like 4 terms instead of 2? So, yeah, so tree method, GCF. The rules, you always have to take the GCF first. Good question though, because I honestly couldn't remember for a minute. All right, number 14. M squared minus 5m minus 35. So, step number 1, GCF or negative. Can I take that out? What GCF? 5 doesn't go into just an M
You
squared.
don't need to, really. You can just go straight to the X.
Right. Well, not that I don't need to. I can't. There is no GCF to take out. Even if I wanted to, I can't take out a GCF. Okay. So 3 terms, we said if I have 3 terms, I do big X or magic numbers. And then Grayson said, just go to big X. So Grayson, why am I going to big X?
Because it doesn't have a number in front.
Yeah, it's not, there's no number here to multiply, right? Okay, so negative 35 is on top, negative 5 is on the bottom. Go. What are the 2 numbers? I don't know for this one either. If you put it in your
It's like
calculator,
The only two things is probably -7 and -7 and 5.
yeah. So the only two things is 5 and 7 or 35 and 1, and none of those give you 5. So can you do big X for this problem? No. So I can't factor this because I can't do big X. So sometimes you can't factor it. So then your answer would just be unfactorable. So sometimes you just can't do the problem. You can't factor it because it is not factorable. Remember what that's called? Starts with a P?
Prime.
Prime. Thank you. So this is technically a prime problem. So it's okay to have an unfactorable problem, but that just means that you got stuck and there's no way that you can keep going on. If I had taken out a GCF, that is factorable, right? And then I would just box in what I took out of my GCF. Okay, next one I'm going to do with you is number 16. So I'm still factoring completely. All right, for number 16, -15 d to the third plus 21 d squared minus 6d. All right, what's the first thing I do?
Take out the negative.
Take out the negative. What else do I do? Take out the GCF. So what is a GCF? 3 and a D. Okay, does someone think they have it in them to do all of that math? Jack, try.
Okay, so 15. Oh, no. I mean, sorry, 5 d squared minus 7 d minus,
Not
I
minus.
mean, plus
Mhm.
2.
Look at you. Good job. That one was, that was a lot going on. Okay, so I took a GCF out. I took a negative out. I took all that stuff out. Now I have how many terms? I have 1, 2, 3. So 3 terms means big X or magic numbers. Which one, guys? Magic numbers, because it still started with a 5. Okay, so remember how I do this then? This has been a couple of days. I have -3d parentheses. Okay, d squared minus 7d plus 10. Remember, you're just taking that number and you're multiplying it by the last one. Now that I multiplied, I can do magic numbers, 10 and -7. Hopefully this one's a little bit more obvious. -5, -2. Okay, so d minus 5, d minus 2. What did I forget? -3d. Don't forget, like if you take stuff out, you still have to drag it down. Okay, now what? Thank you. Divide by 5, divide by 5. Okay. Somebody online, do you think you can write down the final answer for us? What does it look like?
3, -3d, parentheses, 5d minus 2, parentheses, d minus 1.
Vaughn said it in another order. She put like this one first and that one second. Is that okay? Yeah, same thing, right? If you write it in a different order, it doesn't matter. It's the same thing. All of her positives and negatives are the same as mine, so it's good. All right, next one I'm going to do is number 20. So I have 8. Okay, it says t, but I'm really going to just write x. My t's are the worst, so I'm just going to write x. Okay, 8x squared plus 8x minus 72. All right, online kids, what's the first thing I do?
Take out an 8.
Take out an 8. Okay, left over, online kids, what do I see?
X squared plus 8.
Not 8.
I'm sorry, x.
Mm-hmm.
And then minus 9.
Thank you. Okay, I have 3 terms, so 3 terms tells me big X or magic number. So guys, what do you think? Which one? Big X, because it starts with a 1, right? So I have -9, +1. What are the two numbers?
-8 probably 9.
-8.
Wait, the other way?
No, because 8 and 9 make 72, not 9.
Oh, I don't know.
No worries. I mean, 9 is pretty small. It doesn't have very many factors. It's 3, 3, which don't give you 1, 9, 1, which don't give you 1. So is there anything?
No.
Just like last time is no. Okay, so here's a tricky thing. Last time we said unfactorable. Is this answer unfactorable? No. So what is the answer? Just this, right? We factored it. We took out a GCF. That's as far as we went. So just because you can't go any farther doesn't mean that it's unfactorable. We just factored it to the last possible step. And now that's our factored answer. So it's okay that we can't go any farther. Okay, next one I want to do with you is number 30. For number 30, it says find the x coordinates of the points where the graph hits the axis. Basically, what are my solutions? That's a really long, complicated problem. I really don't want to solve it. So why don't you look at the graph and see if there's a way that you can get the answers without having to do all that work. And you can. It should take you maybe 5 seconds to get the answers. Does anyone think they know what the answers are for number 30? Rowan?
-5, -3, and 0.
-5, -3, and 0. Do you remember how, guys, your answer, if they give you a picture, is always on the x-axis. So if they give you a picture, see if you can just look and it hits the squares perfectly. Like if it ever hits the square, or if it ever hits like right, here or something in the middle, then no, you can't. You have to do the problem. But if it hits the corners of the grid perfectly, then you can just write your answers. My answer is -5, -3, and 0. And that's it. Okay, the last one I'm going to do with you is number 35. I will have done 8 problems with you. Number 35 is a word problem. I'm showing you number 35 because it is exactly like number 36. And so you can basically model what we did for 35 to make it look like 36 so you're not confused. You are building a birdhouse in the shape of a rectangular prism that has the volume of 128 cubic inches. The dimensions of the birdhouse in terms of its width are shown. Length, width, height. All right, write a polynomial that represents the volume. So volume, how do I find volume of a prism like this? Length times width times height. So I'm going to say volume equals length times width times height. So volume equals, they told me to write a polynomial. So my length is W, my width is 4, and my height is W plus 4. So do you see how I'm just multiplying those 3 dimensions together? But that's not a polynomial. Remember, a polynomial cannot have multiply in between. It can only have adding and subtracting. Okay, so this is where you guys are going to get it wrong, if you get it wrong. For this W, I see parentheses, so I know I need to distribute. Do I distribute just to the 4, or do I do it also to the W and the other 4? Like, how far do you think I have to go? What did you say? Only to the first group of parentheses. So when I distribute, you only go to the next parentheses. You don't go all the way through. Okay, so just do W times 4. Oh, what is W times 4? 4W. Okay, so now I have 4W times W plus 4. So now do you see how you would take the 4W and distribute it to these 2 things? You're just going to the next parentheses. Okay, so the rule is whenever you distribute, just go to the next parentheses. So what do you think this answer is? Jack?
4W squared plus 16W.
Perfect. That is part A. That is the polynomial. I had to multiply it all out so that there's only pluses and minuses in between. That's what a polynomial is. Don't leave it with times, 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 times. Okay. Part B says, what are the dimensions of the birdhouse? So basically you have to solve for W. So they told me the volume is 128. So does it make sense that I would write 128 equals instead of B equals? Because they told me the answer is 128. 4W squared plus 16W. So I have to solve for W. So what's the first thing I need to do? Minus 128 to the other side. Remember, whenever I have to solve for a letter, everything has to be on the same side first. So 4w squared plus 16w minus 128. What's the next thing I have to do? GCF. So what can I take out? 4. I have w squared plus 4w minus 32. What's the next thing I do? Big X, because it starts with a 1. So I have negative 32, positive 4. What do you think? Yes, Emily? 8 and negative 4. Good job. So I have 0 equals 4. W plus 8, W minus 4. I still have to solve for W. Now what do I do? Set it equal to 0. So this is W equals what? Negative 8. This one is W equals positive 4, right? I'm not even showing my work because look, it's just add 4 on both sides, minus 8 on both sides. Is W equal to 0 here? No. So do I write anything? No, because there's no W on the outside, right? Like I would essentially write 4 equals 0. 4 doesn't equal 0. That doesn't make sense, so don't even write it down. Okay, negative 8, positive 4, but this is a word problem, so which one has to be my answer? Positive 4, because I can only have positive lengths, right? I can't have a negative length. So, not even done yet. If W equals 4, what are my dimensions? Length, width, and height. So my length is how many? 4, because W equals 4. My width, well, that was 4, they told me. And then my height equals 8, because 4 plus 4 is 8. That's my final answer for part B. Okay. I feel like now, hopefully you should have enough practice under your belt where you can do the rest. I did 8 problems with you. Go back, maybe start with number 2, okay? And so at some point, you have to finish all the other problems. You're doing 2 through 40 even, including number 35, but we just did 35, okay? For those of you who are like number 2, explain how to choose which terms to group together when factoring by grouping. Like here, this is what I mean. When I need to factor by grouping, how do I group them together? Like when I did all of these. Yeah, first 2, last 2. That's it. And then you can also write, but if that doesn't work, then rearrange your problem like we did for number 6. All right. So before online kids